Hey everyone! It's another great covers weekend, and actually this is one of the winners on the community poll because, to my surprise, again, we had a tie. And I am almost tempted to think, do you have some sort of community conspiracy going on to make the most of the poll? Anyway, I'm enjoying watching it and the suspense that builds as the deadline comes. And so here we have Simon and Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence, which I will listen to first. And then tomorrow I will listen to the cover by Disturbed, which I understand is also a big deal. So, well, I haven't gotten that far yet, but that's coming. Today, it is the original, Simon and Garfunkel, The Sound of Silence. And I remember Simon and Garfunkel because I've listened to one of their pieces of music, and that was quite a while ago, but it left quite an impression because I enjoyed it so much, and that was The Boxer. I still remember it. I can still kind of recall little bits of it in my mind, even though it's been quite a long time ago. I guess I've listened to it a few times for my own pleasure since then as well, but it's one that stuck with me on this journey. So this is going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how The Sound of Silence is. The Sound of Silence is a song by the American folk rock duo Simon and Garfunkel, written by Paul Simon. Okay, the Simon of Simon and Garfunkel. The duo's studio audition of the song led to a record deal with Columbia Records. It's kind of a big deal. The Sound of Silence was a top 10 hit in multiple countries worldwide, among them Australia, Austria, West Germany, Japan, and the Netherlands. Generally considered a classic folk rock song, the song was added to the National Recording Registry in the Library of Congress for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically important in 2012, along with the rest of the Sounds of Silence album. Well, I guess this must be something special, huh? Simon wrote The Sound of Silence when he was 21 years old, later explaining that the song was written in his bathroom, where he turned off the lights to better concentrate. Seems I remember Freddie Mercury wrote a song in his bathtub, so...
Crazy Little Thing Called Love.
Crazy Little Thing Called Love. Something about the bathroom that appeals. Well, even if we're not composers or musicians, we all know that when you're taking a shower, your best ideas come, right? So the main thing about playing the guitar, though, was that I was able to sit by myself and play and dream, and I was always happy doing that. I used to go off in the bathroom because the bathroom had tiles, so it was a slight echo chamber. Yes, we all know that it's more fun to sing in the shower or bathroom than anywhere else in the house. Also, a lot of fun to practice. I've told harp students to take their harp in there and practice. Believe it or not. I would turn on the faucet so that water would run. I like that sound. It's very soothing to me. And I'd play in the dark. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Maybe those are some lines I'll be meeting here soon. Garfunkel, introducing the song at a live performance with Simon in Haarlem, Netherlands, in June 1966, summed up the song's meaning as the inability of people to communicate with each other, and not particularly internationally, but especially emotionally, so that what you see around you is people who are unable to love each other. Well, I was just getting ready to say that I really enjoy The Sound of Silence, especially when I am in the middle of a creative project, practicing, learning a piece, creating something. It's such a relief to have it silent after a while. But I guess this is a different kind of silence, isn't it? Well, let's see how it sounds.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow narrow streets of cobblestone, 'neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light, it split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs that voices never shared. No one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fool, said I, you do not know, silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you, take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, why did it take me so long to get back to Simon and Garfunkel? I enjoyed the first one I listened to so much, and now I'm so taken in by this again. It's their voices. It's the way there's something almost intangible, but incredibly natural and simple and beautiful about their particular blend of poetry, storytelling, and vocal quality and instrumental blend. It's beautiful. Well, okay, I couldn't get to the end without saying that because it's burning in my mind. What took me so long to get back to them? Okay.
But my words like silent raindrops fell and echoed silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming, and the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls and tenement halls, whispered sounds of silence.
I feel as if it could have gone on longer and I wouldn't have been sorry. This almost feels like it could be 2-3 times that long and we would still enjoy it, because the way they handle the build up, the rise and fall of the dynamic scheme, the flow of the ideas, the lyrics, the contrasts that come and go. And it's all so friendly, isn't it? There's something very embracing about both the boxer and this one, which I begin to think must be a signature of theirs. I guess we should go back through and see if we can break it up a little bit. I mean, sure, it's kind of folk song style. There's not a lot to dig into formally, but there are some really beautiful things they're doing along the way with their delivery of it. And it's funny, as I listen to them now and having heard so much of their music since I last heard them, I know this is from the era of the Beatles, and I guess I can hear some elements of what I hear in the Beatles as well. And of course, there was Bob Dylan back then, too. another storyteller poet. But it also reminds me of another one which I listened to very recently. And, oh dear.
Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen. Of course, Leonard Cohen. I even know his name and I can't recall it. Blame it on sleep deprivation. I've had some rough nights with my little girl recently. But anyway, Leonard Cohen. Of course, it's a different era, a different style, but something about these two.
He was in the same general period of time.
Really? Somehow I had in mind that he was more modern.
Leonard Cohen?
Yeah.
No. He was back then.
Okay.
Yes.
Well then, here I am all mixed up again. Yeah, so maybe I'm not so far off to be thinking Leonard Cohen as well. Very nice. Let's go back through.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I like the simplicity of the guitar in this piece. It's as I'm recalling the Boxer, I guess that was a bit more, should I say sophisticated, or maybe not sophisticated, but lush in its instrumentation. But here we start with just the simple guitar on a very simple line, right? Let's see, what's this going to be? Yeah. Just that. And of course, as it progresses through the piece, then it has to move for the sake of the chord progressions. But that's basically the pattern that we're set up with. And it's such a nice setting and backdrop for the voices when they come in.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seat.
Isn't it nice? And, well, of course, this is tempting me again to put this on my list of covers that I want to do. I think it would be really nice. Well, there's something else about the opening of this that I really enjoy, and actually it's more than the opening, the entire piece. The way the melody is constructed, it follows a very simple outline. Far more basic than a lot of what the Beatles have been getting into with their triplets and their jumping around to random chords and all of that wild stuff that is so Beatle-y. This is very traditional in its setup. There's something I enjoy about the rhythm of the melody. It's simply outlining the chord, isn't it? Hello, darkness, my old friend. And then we outline the next chord. I've come to talk with you again. But you notice what I'm doing. When I'm singing, there are a couple syllables on each note. When I'm playing, I'm just playing. Because, of course, that's a bit more clumsy to pluck that way. But when you sing, it flows. And one of the things that makes this flow so nicely is the way so many of their pitches have a sort of, we could say, echo, reverb effect built into the text and the music. Hello, darkness, my old friend. It's as if you bounce the ball and it bounces back. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. And it feels so light at the same time, not trivial, not frivolous, because we have the weight of the beat and then we have a little bit of a rebound beat, which carries us to the next beat. And if you listen to the melody, it's one of the things that stood out to me. Listen to the melody and you'll hear that nice rebound effect which carries us onwards.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Because a vision softly creeping.
And then there for a moment, softly, so that it doesn't become monotonous. It just breaks and lifts us a bit. Well, as I'm thinking about this rebound, reverb effect, I'm thinking again of his comment that he composed it in the bathroom and he liked the extra reverb of the tiles, right? So, well, this, what I'm calling the reverb effect in the rhythm would be a reverb for a massive room, not a little bathroom. But still, it's a fun little thing to notice.
Because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping, and the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the
That's another nice moment, which I remember some things like this from the Boxer as well. Still remains, and then, well, again, it's this wonderful, wonderful blend of all the different elements. And the vision that was planted in my brain, those sustained notes, it kind of breaks this rhythm of reverb, bouncing the ball, or something like that. Get a little bit of sustain and a lingering moment, and then we go on. And then it says, still remains. I like the way he lingers on still remains, but that wasn't what I was going to say. Notice, still remains, bum, bum, bum. The guitar walks us down out of that into the next thing.
in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone.
Now we get more of the bass sonority coming in.
Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my car.
And when this bass enters, it kind of changes, right? We don't have this da da dum bum 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 ba dee dee. It's more bum 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 bum. Now our attention is being brought a bit lower, kind of like, well, within neath the halo of a street lamp. It's kind of this walking along the rough cobblestones and this more heavy tread, isn't it?
Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turned my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash.
And this is a great moment too, which we didn't notice so much in the first verse when it says, and the vision that was planted. But now when we hear, when my eyes were stabbed, it's as if that line was written for those words. And my eyes were stabbed by the flash. This isn't through composed music. This isn't music that is written to paint every nuance of every word that we meet. But it's a melody that works well and is set to the rhythm of the text well enough that the important words can be brought out very naturally. And it's a lovely thing to feel and notice along the way.
When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light, it split the night.
It split the night. Bum, bum.
And touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw
A little more warmth
10,000
here.
people, maybe more. People
get the feeling of expansiveness as far as the eye can see. And here I have to stop and say, what a well-written poem. What a well-written poem, at least to me. Why? Because it doesn't feel artificial, sentimental. It doesn't feel like it is taking a lot of effort or attention to express what it does. I'm coming back to this word natural. It does it so naturally, so easily. But when you dig into the details, we start The Sound of Silence kind of set in a dream. It's a dream that I had. But we looked at this. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. I mean, all the sonic elements, the visual elements, the descriptive qualities of those words. And then, after that, and in the naked light I saw. And when I hear this line, the naked light, it's almost as if it's not so much about the light. It's almost as if it's kind of alluding to the people as well. In other words, this is a revelation. Their facade is off, gone. And their reasons and their behavior is suddenly naked before this, within this vision. And in the naked light, I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. And here we see the nakedness. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. That is what they are trying to present. It's the superficiality, the facade that they put out. People writing songs that voices never shared. What a tragic thing, isn't it? I mean, especially thinking about music and the gift that music is, and this beautiful piece, to hear people writing songs that voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence. I mean, it's just incredible the way that this poem takes us along, and really, really, it gets to the core of it. It kind of cuts into you without making you feel like it's a tragedy, an act, a drama. It's just telling you the truth straight and simple, and that simplicity is the power of it.
People hearing without listening. People
Don't we do this all the time?
songs
Don't we do this all the
that
time?
voices never shared. No one
No one dared.
disturb the sound of silence. Fool said I, you do not know.
And you hear the music growing and kind of carrying us along.
Hear my word.
And suddenly we realize that this idea of the artistic moment of silence and the dream world where we can be artistically free is suddenly not what this is all about. This is a silence that is undesirable. It is a cancer. And it's not the silence of freedom. It's not the silence that is restful. It is the silence of non-communication, non-sharing, a mask, a superficial presentation. We don't hear anything from anyone else, and we don't share anything with anyone else. And it's presenting this kind of as the subject of the poem, the one who's had this dream and is telling this story, is somehow able to see it all, kind of like a prophet it's a vision. It's a prophetic vision, which is funny because then at the end, which we haven't gotten to the second time, the words on the prophets are written on the subway walls in tenement halls. It brings so many ideas in so simply. But listen to how the music is building now this feeling of being carried along by the force of the current. We've built momentum and we are unable to stop it.
Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed.
Made echo.
Wells of silence.
And this line too. My words, like silent raindrops, fell. So I spoke and I said something without a facade myself. It was a warning. Hear my words. I spoke, but my words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed. This idea of an echo. Again, this, what I said at the beginning, reverb. And echoed in the wells of silence. My words, like silent raindrops, fell and echoed in the wells. I love that line. I love it. It's so eloquent and expressive and beautiful in the way it presents these things. That's just how it's coming to me.
Wells of silence.
Also, did you notice how he built up to this? Take my arms that I might reach you, but my words like silent raindrops fell. And echoed in the wells of silence. And now we hear the music building again. Let's back up just a bit to hear and appreciate that once more.
Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops, fell.
And then everything falls. They fell.
Of silence.
And now it grows again.
People bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out its warning in the words that it was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, tenement halls, whispered the sounds of silence.
And right back to this. They don't waste any words or musical elements, either in the intro or at the ending. It's just straight to the point, very compact. Back to the text. When it says the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, that's the first time we realized that this light that stabbed into this artist's eyes was something that the people were worshipping. And then isn't it interesting how he makes it, I mean, it's somehow colorless and unfeeling and cold, but at the same time it has the same message that he is giving. Because it says, then the sign said, the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, in tenement halls. And the way the music presents that, on subway walls, and then it drops, in tenement halls. It's as if it could have gone on listing more places. In other words, where there are people crowded together, masses of people, in the subway, in the tenements, the places where there's so much human experience, and yet so much distance and so much silence about that experience. And then whispered in the sound of silence. Somehow this whisper is a little more than the words that dropped like silent raindrops. It's interesting to think of all these details. It's beautifully crafted, beautifully presented. And simply musical experience for a folk type song. It is incredibly satisfying, and as I said, feels like a warm embrace. And isn't that fitting as well, considering that here they are, Simon and Garfunkel has dared to break the sound of silence by calling it out and kind of taking off its mask and putting it before us. Well then, what do we do with this? Every piece of art, in a way, breaks the silence. And actually, I've mentioned that I'm reading Tolstoy's book on what is art, and I'm going to not go into that at the moment because I actually have some pretty strong disagreements with what he presents there, but there's one thing that he said that I love, and that is that art is a means of binding humanity together. And I think that is very true. And I will take it now and kind of change what he said and say, art is a means of breaking the silence. It is one of the ways in which we cut through this, destroy this silence that is a cancer among us and in society. And I'm really happy to see that within the Virgin Rock community here, where there are so many thousands and thousands of people. What does the song say? 10,000 or maybe more? One of the things that I treasure about this space, this community here, is that it is not silent. And there is vulnerability, there is openness, there is sharing in a very public space. Considering that it's the internet, we might even say it's more public and more crowded than a subway or a tenement hall, right? So it's a wonderful thing for a beautiful piece of music, a piece of art, to call our attention to something like this, to do something. And I'm sure that Simon and Garfunkel had this in mind, that this was a cancer within society that somebody needed to dare to break. And they did what they could to break it. And it's easy to become very negative when we look at all the news and everything. But we should look at everything. And that is also what we find here. And take courage and dare. I'll see you tomorrow for the cover, which is going to be Disturbed's cover, and we'll see what that comes like.